A small fire crackled inside the ring of collected stones. As the sun fell, so too did the planet's temperatures. Neither of them were freezing, but Gareth found himself huddling nearer to the open flame than he'd have preferred. Pen had just finished clearing a small place under a dense bit of canopy near the river for them when she started to speak. "Gonna take a dip and wash off. Mind the fire, yeah? If it explodes and kills me in a horrible fiery death, I'm going to haunt you." Yeah. I'm sure. Does Whalon culture even believe in spirits and stuff?" "No, but your people do so." Pen chuckled. "Fair enough." She walked off to the edge of the water and began removing her fatigues before stopping and looking at Gareth. "You mind? HM? Oh. Apologies, of course. I didn't mean to." "Yeah, I'm aware." Now, she twirled her finger. He turned around to face the fire. He'd never so closely inspected a legitimate open flame before, much less one this large, but as he watched it he had to admit it had an almost hypnotizing nature to its flickering. He didn't quite like that, nor how very close to it he was. He heard Pen wade into the water and let out a satisfied sigh. "Oh, that's nice. You weren't injured, yes?" Gareth asked without turning. "Couple of scrapes and bruises, but I'll be fine. How about you? I didn't crush anything, did I? Not again, at least?" No. I appreciate the care you took. Some ache in my hands from holding on so tightly as we fell, but no cracked shell or anything." "Good. I suppose I should be thanking you once again. You really seem to be making a habit of saving my life. I believe this is the third time now?" "Second, and don't mention it, really. Your math might be off, Pen. There was the turret, that sniper on Raxia, and then now. That's 3. Don't think the Raxia one counts. Not sure either of us were in any danger then. It just doesn't add up." "What makes you say that?" "'Cause we're standing here. They could have at the very least hit me first. You might have gotten to cover, but there's no way that slime ball was. And yet, they didn't. Why? Dunno, don't really care either. Not my circus, not my monkeys." Gareth laughed. "An interesting saying, but I think I understand. Are you really serious though? You don't care?" "I care, but I did my job. More than, actually, above and beyond. I was supposed to be relaxing on Raxia right now. Nice and quiet. Instead, I'm jumping out the back of a ship on an impromptu camping trip with you." "You mean that you won't be staying on the crew permanently?" Suddenly Gareth was less interested in the fire. "I didn't think it was ever permanent. No offense, it has been nice, nicer than I let on truly. But I'm quite clearly a bad luck charm for you guys. Best if I step away when I can." "I see." He could hear the rush and splash of water as Pen stepped out of the river back onto the riverbank. After a moment and some shuffling, he could hear her heavy footsteps moving back towards him and the fire. A ball of clothes passed over him and landed against the base of a tree to his right, and she plopped down next to him. Gareth was able to look at something he'd been growing more curious about for some time. He hadn't made much note of it before, but visiting the Terran ship keyed him into the fact that many humans wore clothing that didn't cover their arms or lower legs. Pen, on the other hand, consistently wore as much coverage as possible. Now, though, he realized that the marks he saw on her arms when he walked in on her exercising were not simple patterns. The underclothes she was wearing didn't cover as much skin, and he could see those marks again. Not just marks either. On her left arm at the shoulder was a something. A piece of art was the best phrase he had for it. Some kind of black-colored permanent marking that depicted a 3-headed dog. Between each head was a star, and wreathed through its necks was a banner that read something he couldn't make out. Above the center head was a date. He realized he must have been staring for a while because he quickly became aware she was looking at him expectantly. Aram, your shoulder. Tattoo. Your tattoo, what is it for? The three-headed dog. It's a mark that every member of Fire Team Cerberus got when they joined. The same collection of myths that Scylla comes from as him as the guardian of the underworld. A great beast that sat at the gates of hell. Impressive. Taking on the terror such a myth instills as one's own? I suppose that was the idea. Same with the names. Charybdis, Scylla, knew a sniper who got the name Grim Reaper. Gareth's eyes wandered back to the other marks. Down that arm was a deep line starting at the elbow and ending just above the back of her hand. On her right leg was an odd mottling pattern of skin that reached down from above her knee to her ankle. What? He hesitated to ask, unsure of too many things. She said nothing until he met her eyes. Then, with a finger, she brought his attention to the line down her arm. Nasty fucker with a knife. Long op, armor was busted all to hell, so the gauntlet had fallen off. He was trying to take the whole arm at the joint, didn't, but still managed to draw the thing down as I pivoted away. And he pointed to her right leg. Thermite burned through a section of wall next to me on a ship action. Part of the wall fell on me and pinned me down. The reaction started to burn though my armor before Mac and Nurse got it off. Could have been a lot worse, to be honest. There's also, she straightened and pointed to two circular discolored depressions in her abdomen, first scars I ever got, clean shots through and through. He looked at the marks closely. It was odd to see how the healing process worked. Not just in how it left a mark, but it was almost a confirmation and contradiction of humanity's well-known durability. He'd heard the stories and proof was right in front of him. Brutal injury, utterly lethal to him, and nothing left of it but a simple mark. And yet, he always imagined the concept as some kind of impenetrability. Like a perfect armor against which all things faltered. It was a nice thought, easy in a way. Like a fantasy. But it wasn't true. Do they hurt? It was a dumb question he knew, but he was compelled to ask. During? Like a bitch. Now? No. She shook her head. He had a thought. He'd seen her take some serious injury in the footage, but noticed no marks on her. Not all damage leaves a mark? No, I suppose not. I've broken a few bones. I suppose you wouldn't be able to see those without an X-ray. Took a nasty hit to my hand once. Every once in a while, I'll lose feeling in. She noticed his eyes shoot to her left hand. She held it up and massaged the palm. Along the palm and in my ring and pinky fingers. How'd it happen? He asked, replaying what he'd seen in his mind. I picked a fight with the Terran version of a combat frame. A fist fight to be precise. Well, I had my hatchet, but... Gareth looked into the fire. You good? HM? Yeah, he forced a light chuckle. You would pick a fight with a machine. Penn chuckled too. I suppose I would. Anyway, we should get some rest. If you want to get some sleep first, I'll stay up or... No, you sleep. Waylons don't need to, remember? I'll keep a lookout. You rest, and when you're up we can head out again. Right. That's so weird, alright. Yell if something starts trying to eat you. Penn grabbed the ball of clothes and stuffed it under her head as she laid down on her side with her back to the fire. Gareth started his vigil with a sip of water. It was nice, but lacked any real sodium content. He'd be fine for some time though, and left the rest of it for Penn in the morning. He tried his best to not look at his friend, not wanting to be accused of staring, but after a few minutes he couldn't help it. It wasn't his fault really, as something he thought very odd drew his attention. She started to twitch. At first, he thought it was the dreams or nightmares rather. He lamented. To think they really plagued her from the minute she started sleeping to the minute she woke. But something about them didn't seem to fit. They were peaceful in a way, or at least not violent, just small twitches. A leg here, a shoulder there. They almost worked their way through each limb until finally she was still and started to snore. Snoring was something he remembered Tunny T babbling about. It was a simple blockage of air if he remembered correctly. And while it did almost sound like she was growling, he knew what it was. The twitching though was very odd. He'd have to ask Tunny T about that one.